Okay, hello friends and welcome to Career Stop, the one-stop destination to get real hands-on experience on Agile Scrum. Friends, my name is Sunan Sharma and today's topic is documentation in Agile. Friends, in this session, I have used many sample templates, examples, so you guys understand it better. And one more important thing, each slide itself is an interview question. So for example, like what is your product roadmap in Agile? Can you give an example from your project? So like this, every topic which I have discussed in this session in itself is an interview question. So let's begin. Okay, I keep on getting this question that documentation in Agile is there or not. So, and we know this particular principle that in Agile software development, the emphasis is on delivering working software and meeting customer needs rather than creating extensive documentation. So Agile emphasizing on working software over comprehensive documentation, that's the principle, meaning that the team should focus on creating functional software rather than spending a lot of time and effort on documentation. But however, this does not mean that there is no documentation in Agile. Agile teams still create and maintain various documents and record to help them understand customer needs, plan, track their work, and communicate with stakeholders. So the goal is to create just enough documentation to support the team and stakeholders without adding unnecessary overhead. So let's see what all document we can have in Agile project. Okay, this is most asked by a lot of Scrum Masters that I'm the Scrum Master, so it's my responsibility to have these meeting notes. Let's see, first of all, like what's the importance of meeting notes and why they are so important in Agile projects. So if you ask me, in Agile projects, meeting notes are an important tool for Scrum Masters to keep track of progress, identify any issues or challenges that arise, and facilitate communication and collaboration among team members. So it's very important to have this in your project. So for example, during a Scrum team daily Scrum calls, the Scrum Master can use meeting notes to note the progress, any challenges which teams are facing, and any action items that need to be addressed. And these notes can then be shared with the team to keep everyone informed and align on the project progress. The other important thing with respect to meeting notes that they can also be used to document decisions made during the planning and review meetings, as well as to capture feedback and suggestions from team members. So this can help the Scrum Masters to ensure that the team is working towards a common goal and that all team members are aware of the project directions. So overall, meeting notes are very important, essential tool for the Scrum Master to facilitate effective communication and collaboration within the team and ensure the project stay on track. Let's see a couple of examples, which I have just jotted down for you guys. And let me just show you first. Yeah, these are the examples. Okay, so this is pretty simple, standard template example, which I just put it over here, just to get an idea, like you don't have to create a lengthy minutes, otherwise there is no need of calling them a minutes. So in this example, you can see that it's with respect to sprint refinement. You can see the dates and the attendees. These are just a sample, but then moreover, close to the real minutes which we have created in the past. You can see the agenda, review, prioritize user stories for the next sprint, identify any dependencies or blocker, estimate the complexity and effort of each user story. So this was the agenda for sprint refinement meeting, one of the sprint refinement meeting. And then you can see the different updates, whatever we have done, presented. So John presented user story A, which involved adding a new feature to the product. Team discussed the user need and potential impact on the product. And then presented user story B, which involved improving the performance of an existing feature. The team discussed the potential benefit and identify some potential risk. You can see all these are the things which are happen during the sprint refinement meeting. And this is again just a sample. Then you can see the other important thing, the decision. So user story A was prioritized for the next sprint. User story B was added to the backlog for future consideration. User story C was prioritized for the next sprint. User story D was added to the backlog for future consideration, pending resolution of the dependencies, and then an action item. So who is going to do what? So follow up with the design team to get feedback on user story A. Jenny is going to coordinate with the development to resolve the dependencies for user story D. And then Joe will do the follow-up with the product owner to get clarification on the acceptance criteria for user story C. This is pretty standard MOM, which is just created after the sprint refinement meeting. So let me give you one or two more examples, because MOM or minutes are most asked query at different forums. So let's give you one more example. Yeah, so daily Scrum calls. Now, you don't have to, I mean, if you can jot it down on email or on Jira, it's up to you. It's just like you are just capturing that particular movement over there. So in this daily Scrum call example, you can see that these are the team members who are just presented, and these are the updates which has happened. So let's say someone has mentioned that completed work on feature A or user story A, started working on feature B, user story A, B, C, it's up to them. Completed testing of feature C, working on bug fix for feature D, completed work on feature E, started working on feature E. So these are the high level updates which should happen. You can no need to do it on regularly basis. If you feel that today some major blockers has been identified or this has been created, you can take those important daily Scrum and then jot it down minutes, and then you can distribute, because sometimes there are a few blockers which need attention from stakeholders, from client, from higher management. So in those cases, you can use this particular kind of format and template, and you can send it across to the different stakeholders, right? So blockers, waiting on a feedback from design team on a feature D, dependency of feature G is causing delay with feature E. Action items, follow up with the design team to get feedback on feature B, coordinate with design team to resolve the issue with feature D. So like this. This is again one simple example of minutes from daily Scrum calls. Okay, this is again important, sprint review meeting MOM. You can create that. And I think every Scrum Master should do that after every sprint review meeting. You can see over here, we have jotted down the attendees, whoever all participated, the development team members, our Scrum team, PO stakeholders who are present over there like this, the duration of the sprint, the completed user stories, the incomplete user stories, demo, whatever things which we have demonstrated, all those features which we have demonstrated to the stakeholders. So you can see like feature A, B, C. And then the important thing is the feedback, that what feedback which we have got from the different stakeholders who are present in that meeting. So you can see that, VO has given that overall the team did a great job with the new features and improvement. There are some minor design issues with feature A that will need to be addressed in the next sprint. Stakeholder Bob, I am really impressed with the new dashboard customization feature. Is going to be the big hit with our users. Suzanne stakeholder, I agree the new search function is much faster and more accurate. Great work, team. So like this, whatever the things which has been said in that particular meeting, the sprint review, you can capture, you can jot it down, those highlights over here, right? And then the last, again, a very important thing is an action item. So investigate the performance issue with feature B and work on a fix for the next sprint. Document the idea for new search features and add it to the product backlog for consideration. And the team review and address the design issues with features A in the next sprint. So I just gave you 3 different examples of minutes, which you can do as a Scrum Master or as a team as well. It's not that only the Scrum Master is going to capture these minutes, but still, these are the simple format which I have just shared with you guys. So I hope you get some idea like how the minutes has been captured in projects. Okay, before we move on, if you have not liked or subscribed to our channel, please do that. This session is going to be very fun and full of information. So just hit a like. Okay, do not wait till the end of the session. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, product vision. So what is a product vision? Now, there are a lot of things which are said with respect to product vision, and I don't want to give a detailed overview on the product vision, but I want to emphasizing on an example more. So if you ask me, a product vision is a clear, concise statement that outlines the long-term goals and desired outcomes of a product. It serves as a guiding light for product development, helping teams stay focused on the most important aspect of the product and to ensure that all the decisions align with the overall vision. So I'll just give you one or two examples just to get an idea. Okay. So in this first example, to create the world best mobile messaging app that connects people in meaningful ways and help them stay connected with the people and things they care about most. So that's one product vision statement which we have created. Now this product vision statement for a messaging app focusing on creating a product that connects people in a meaningful way and help them to stay connected with the things that matter to them. Now the vision is clear and specific, and it guides the development of the product in a direction that align with the overall goal of the company. So that's the one example of a product vision. So you should ask your product owner that what's the product vision by which we are doing this particular project. I'll give you one more example, one more small example. Okay, so the example is a smart home security system. So we want to develop a smart home security system. Now the product vision for this product might be to create a comprehensive user-friendly system that helps homeowners feel safe and secure in their homes and give them a peace of mind when they are away. Now this particular product would use advanced sensors and cameras to detect potential threats and would provide real-time alerts and notifications to the homeowner. It might have also have features like remote access and control, so homeowner can check in on their homes and make adjustment from anywhere. So I hope these examples give you a good understanding of what a product vision is and how it can be used to guide a product development. Let's move on to our next. Yes. Now this is again a very important document, product roadmap. And guys, please pay attention. It's a very important thing. Most of the time, people are not aware about it, don't even have it in their projects. So again, what is product roadmap? So a product roadmap is a high-level document that outlines the strategic vision for a product over a set period of time. So it's a living document that is constantly updated to reflect the changing priorities and direction of the product. So in an agile environment, the product roadmap is used to guide the development and delivery of a product and to align the team efforts with a broader business goal. So this document basically outlines the high-level plan for a project, including the major milestones and features that will be delivered over the time. So let's see like how a product roadmap be used in an agile environment. Let me just, yeah, this is a small definition of product roadmap. The thing which I want to emphasize is, yeah, like how a product roadmap might be used in an agile environment. So let's see. Okay, so these are the three important points, and I'll just give you a brief about them. The very first one is prioritizing features. So the product roadmap basically helps the team to prioritize which features and initiative to focus on at a given period of time, based on their potential impact on the business and the alignment with the overall product vision. So this is a very important thing. Second point is facilitating cross-functional collaboration. So the product roadmap can be used to bring different teams and stakeholders together to discuss and plan the development and delivery of the product. Now this helps to ensure that everyone is working towards a common goal and that there is a clear communication and coordination between different teams. So again, it's a very important point. Third is like tracking progress and adjusting ourselves, right, over the period of time. So this product roadmap provide a way to track the progress of the product over time and to make adjustment as needed to ensure that the product stay on track and meets the overall business goal. So this may involve reprioritization of features, adding new features, or making changes to the development process as necessary. So these are the important points. So I would say that the product roadmap is an important tool for aligning the team efforts with the broader business goals. Let's see the example. Yeah. So in this example, you can see the product roadmap includes 3 initiatives that the team will focus on over the next year. So the first initiative is to improve the user experience by redesigning the homepage, which is expected to be delivered in Q2 2022. The second initiative is to enhance the security by adding two-factor authentication, which is expected to be delivered in Q3 2022. The third initiative is to increase collaboration by adding team project management tools, which is expected to be delivered in Q4 2022. So let me repeat one more time that product roadmap is a living document that should be regularly reviewed and updated as the product evolves. And the value and the priorities of the team may change over the time, and the roadmap should reflect those changes. So that's very important. Okay, let's move on. Test cases. Yeah, friends. So in agile environment, test cases are typically documented as a part of the user stories or requirement for a feature. Now, the goal is to have a clear and concise documentation that outline the steps needed to test a particular feature or functionality, as well as the expected result. So there are a lot of best practices for documenting the test cases in an agile environment. I'll just give you a few examples. Yeah, so these are the few important points which I jotted down over here. So keep it simple. So test cases should be clear and easy to understand with a focus on most important aspect of the feature or functionality that has been tested. So avoid using so technical jargons and overly complex language when you are creating your test cases. So keep it very simple. Now the second important point is the focus should be on the user perspective. So test cases should be written from the perspective of the user and should cover the most common and important use cases for the features. And the third important thing is examples and scenarios. So use concrete examples and scenarios to illustrate how the feature or the functionality should work in a different situation. Now, this can help to make the test cases more understandable and easier to follow. So that's again an important point. Now, the next point is keep it current. So it means that the test cases should be reviewed and updated regularly to ensure that they are still relevant and accurate. Now, this may involve adding new test cases and modifying existing one as the product evolves. Now, there are several different types of test cases that can be used in an agile environment. There are many, for example, unit test cases. So now these test cases are focused on individual units or components of the code, and they are typically run automatically as a part of the build process. And we have integration tests. Now, these test cases focus on integration of the different components or system, and they are used to verify that they are working together correctly. Now, we have acceptance tests. Now, these tests focus on verifying that the product meets the acceptance criteria defined in the user story or requirements, and they are typically run manually by development team or by the customer. Now, we have performance tests. These tests focus on measuring the performance of the product, and they are used to verify that it meets the requirement performance level. Now we have called security tests. Now these tests focus on security of the product and are used to verify that it is secure and meets any relevant security standards. So I just give you a few examples. There are many test cases which you can create it in an agile project. So this is again a very important document as a part of our project. Okay, let's move on. Yes, technical documentation. Now, in an agile environment, technical documentation is typically focused on documenting the design and implementation of the product, rather than providing a detailed user manual or reference guide. So the goal is to provide enough information for other team members to understand how the product works and to be able to make changes or add new features as needed. I'll give an example. So, for example, API documentation. So if the product includes an API that allow other systems or applications to interact with it, it is important to document the API in a clear and concise manner. Now, this may include information on the available endpoints, the inputs and output parameters for each endpoints, and any relevant error codes. So this is an important documentation from a project perspective. Other thing which you can think about when we talk about technical documentation is a deployment documentation. Now, the deployment documentation provide detailed instructions for how to install and configure the product in a different environment. It might include information about the system requirement, the installation steps, and the configuration options. So like this, there are various examples of technical documentation. I just gave you two over here. Okay, let's move on. Yes, a release plan. You might heard this term again and again if you are a Scrum Master. So what is a release plan? Now, a release plan is a document that outlines the scope, schedule, and resource for a software release. Now, it is used to coordinate and track the progress of the release and ensure that all of the necessary work is completed on time and within budget. In an agile environment, the release plan is an important tool for managing the development and delivery of the product. It basically helps to ensure that the team is focused on the most important features and initiatives, and that the release stay on track and meet the overall business goal. Now, there are a couple of reasons like why the release plan is important in an agile project. There are many. I just give you a couple of good pointers which you can use with respect to your interviews as well. If someone is going to ask you, okay, what is the release plan? What's the necessity or importance of a release plan in an agile project? Then you can use these points, right? So very first one is a alignment with the business goal. Yeah, so release plan helps to align the team's efforts with the broader business goals by identifying the key features and improvements that will be included in the release. Now, this is basically going to help to ensure that the product is delivering value to the business and meeting the needs of the customer. Second important thing is coordination and collaboration. So the release plan provide a way to coordinate the work of different teams and stakeholders and to ensure that everyone is working towards a common goal. Now, this can help to avoid delays and conflict. So it's very important to keep the release on track. So that's an important thing. The third thing is prioritization. So the release plan basically helps the team to prioritize their work and to focus on the most important features and initiatives. Now, this can help to ensure that the release stay on track and meet the overall business goal. So it's the same point again and again, which you can repeat in a way. The other important thing is tracking of progress. So release plan provide a way to track the progress of the release and to identify any issue or risk that might impact the timeline and scope of the release. Now, this can help the team stay on track. Now, this basically a release plan is, of course, for the team, but then for the different stakeholders as well. Your upper management for the different client, and there are different stakeholders who are basically look towards the release plan. Okay, so let's see if we can get some example template. And this is just a sample template. Let me just. Okay, so yeah, so you can see the scope over here. They mentioned that this particular release, release number is there, release date is there, and then you can see the features they mention about their feature ABC. What else is going to be there into this particular release? So in addition to this release include bug fixes and other minor improvements. So 3 features and some bug fixes. Now they mentioned the timeline: sprint 1, January 1 to 15, sprint 2, January 16 to 31st, sprint 3, February 1st to 15, sprint 4, February 6 to 28, right? So you can see the different timelines and what features is going to be developed in during those sprints. So these are the high level overview which is there. Another important thing is the dependencies, like what dependencies which we can encounter during this. So features A is depend on the feedback from the design team, depending on the completion of feature G, dependency on the feature S, right? What are different risk and mitigation plan? Now the risk is a feature may not be ready for the release due to the delay in our design feedback. Mitigation, we will work closely with the design team to ensure that we receive timely feedback and can make an necessary adjustment to the feature. This is one a sample, very easy template example which I have shared, right? And it might vary from team to team, organization to organization, and you can always customize this particular template based on your needs and requirement of your project, right? Let's move on. Okay, one more important point, release notes, specifically with respect to developer. So these release notes are a document that outline the changes, improvements, and new features that are included in a software release. Now, they are typically used to communicate these changes to users and stakeholders and to provide context and background on why the changes are made. Now, again, there are a lot of templates and a lot of things which are available. And there are a lot of things like why we should use these notes. I just give you a broad point. I don't want to go in detail. So basically, see if I have an example. Yeah, let's see the example. I think that would be better. Yeah. Okay, so you can see over here, the release date is mentioned, the summary is mentioned. This release include several new features and improvement to the product as well as some bug fix. So instead of several, you can mention specific what are those features, right? Now, new features and the improvements. So you can see that added a new feature ABC XYZ that allow users to customize their dashboard, improve the performance of a search function, added support for additional language, known issues and limitations, additional resources. So if you want further information on these things, you can click on these things, these buttons, and you can get the detailed documentation if you need a further information on this thing, right? So this is a simple release note template, which you can also use in your project if you don't have one, and you can always customize this. Okay, so let's see what else is there in a documentation part. Yes, DOR, definition of ready, and definition of done are also considered as a documentation. We know what is definition of done and definition of ready, but just for this video, let me just repeat one more time. So definition of ready is a term used in agile development to describe the criteria that must be met before work on a user story or a feature can begin. Now, DOR is used to ensure that the team has a clear understanding of the requirement and the scope of the work, and that all the necessary resources and dependencies are in place. Now, there are a lot of examples with respect to DOR. So, for example, user story should be clear, and the requirements and the technical design should be there. The infrastructure is ready. Data migration. So, any necessary data migration should be planned and prepared for. That can be included as a part of definition of ready. If there is some security concerns, so for example, any security consideration should be addressed, including any necessary access control or data interruption. So all those things should be part of your definition of ready. Then you can include performance as well. So for example, the performance of feature should be considered, and necessary optimization or scaling measures should be planned for. So all those things you can put in a definition of ready. I'm not spending much time over here. Okay. Yeah, definition of done. So let me just repeat quickly. So again, in a agile environment, the definition of done is a set of criteria that must be met before a piece of work, such as a user story or a feature, is considered completed. So the DoD has to ensure that the work meets the required quality standard and is ready to be delivered to the customer. Again, there are a lot of examples of DoD. So for example, the code has been reviewed by at least one other team member. Code has been unit tested and all the unit tests are passed. Code has been integrated with the rest of the system and our integration tests are passed. Code has been delayed to a staging environment and tested by a QA team. Documentation has been updated to reflect the changes made, and the user story of the features has been accepted by the PO or a customer. Again, these are just a few examples of a DoD for a project. It's again depend on your need, your goals of the project. It again vary from project to project, organization to organization. Okay. Yeah. So these are again, if you can see the screen, like user stories, acceptance criteria, product backlog, sprint backlog, burn down chart. Now, few people also consider these as a part of documentation, and maybe the reason is user story. Yeah, so we have to document somewhere, right? You are putting in a Jira or in some template on an Excel sheet. In a way, you are documenting it, right? So that's maybe the reason. Acceptance criteria, yeah. it's a part of user story, but still few people consider it as a, I don't know for what reason. So that's the reason I'm not emphasizing much on it. It's just like good to kind of thing, which I have mentioned over here. Again, the product backlog, if we have to jot it down, we have to put a lot of user stories at one place. So maybe if you are using a template, which is specifically, for example, product backlog, right? And an Excel sheet or something like that. And then if you are putting everything over their user stories, so in a way, it's a document, right? So yeah, product backlog and the sprint backlog, burn down chart. So sometimes people consider this burn-down chart as again a document because they need to produce it to the different stakeholders. I mean, though it's for team, but then still people use it to show their progress, to show their team's progress. So again, people consider these points, these artifacts as a document, part of documentation. Okay. Okay, friends. So I think that's it. I will really appreciate if you guys hit like. If you find value from this session, I try to give you more examples. I don't want to make it a very monotonous thing where you just keep on hearing me the theoretical part. So yeah, that's from my side. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye, guys.